Welcome everyone to a quick latest and greatest Windows driver and Windows driver. Not the most amazing this time around, not NVIDIA or other shady stuff, but unfortunately AMD. Turns out Alex Ionescu here on Twitter said some not too long ago, 48 hours or 24 hours, playing around with their first AMD Ryzen system. Turns out the AMD PCI driver on Windows, of course, isn't actually a freaking PCI driver. I mean, I always found the super flus on Windows to have some garbage PCI chipset drivers of, yeah, anyway. But turns out, yeah, you have there some AMD PCI driver. And some fun facts: registers a process creation notify routine and checks all process names against a list of 19 hashes. I've seen this. I looked into drivers. That was the Silicon Motion Link 3D previous video where we first ever wrote open source 3D hardware isolated code for the Link 3D driver. And maybe all graphic drivers, I didn't look into all, but many I looked into, especially the Link 3D, had a lot of process names like this bloody game, like even 20 years ago, doing some Zen textures and this and that. But the Link 3D driver had a clear list names of processes and yeah, AMD hashes those, so you don't even directly see is it for Crysis or Doom 3 of, yeah. So what this means is registering a process creation notify routine so that each time a process is created, like Explorer exe, Edge exe, Chrome exe, or Quake or Crysis, this PCI driver gets notified. And then if it finds a match, it sets bit 5 in the machine-specific register, previous low-level videos, right, hardware manipulation stuff, caches, and instruction cache and similar of all the, this is not standardized. AMD, Intel, VIA, Cyrix, and so on, all those vendors have their own IDT WinChip specific configuration register stuff. And a lot of them are not documented, right? Sometimes even the IDT WinChip, previous video, had some documented, but especially the more complex Intel and AMD become, not all of them are even necessarily configured. I, by the way, personally really hate this. In my opinion, all the hardware you buy, it should be documented, that if you need to fix something, you actually know what the bits are. So, but even better, so not only is, so where are we so far? We are so far, it's PCI driver, it's not a PCI driver, it's some random process creation checking thing. And PD4 set writes more tracking. No, not more tracking, more benchmark manipulation. But so what it does is it checks processes against a hash and then manipulates instruction cache configuration. More to this in a minute. But even better, it has a security descriptor allowing every freaking one low read, write access and an IOCTL interface with absolutely no probes, SEH, which, yes, DRAM references wild pointers. They don't even bother checking for input sizes or output sizes. Yeah, 2021, not only benchmark manipulating chipset driver disguising thing, but also total security hole in your Windows system, which personally why I run, why I like my system open source, right? Recurring theme here, freaking Linux distribution, and not running random vendors. They also, people always think AMD and NVIDIA and Intel, they are totally amazing god programmers, but yeah, each time I see something from Intel and AMD, I need to throw up or get drunk. So yeah, what that means is everyone can crash your system if you have this chipset driver and wildly dereferencing garbage pointers. The interface lets you check if there are any matches in the list of processes, as well as flush the list, add more hashes for the duration of the boot, and yeah, AMD PCI driver. So to summarize this, here's some 24 hours later. Ryzen, so this only applies thankfully to first generation Ryzen processors, so not Zen 2 or Zen 3. playing a list of 18 possible games, although the hash, I think I saw somewhere the hash is relatively weak, so why not use a standard like amazing hash, like SHA, whatever, some things like some AMD YOLO hash of hash collision, some random stuff also matches. 18 possible games, so why would they match 18 possible games? Turns out this, like maybe, let's see, Ryzen, so they say here, so 3002 driver seems to, I'm not entirely sure if, so what do they say here, Ryzen 1001 playing one of 18 possible games. Yeah, so that turns on the op cache, and so the thing with that is, where do we have this? The thing was an errata for Zen 1, which also, fun fact, some people think I'm an AMD fanboy. No, I'm not. I actually skipped Zen 1 for that reason. The first, I think not sure if it is, the first Zen I got was a Zen Ryzen 2700 for good reasons. I didn't want to have the Phantom TLB bug or other such stuff. I like this stuff. Spent my money for major stuff. So yeah, so there was an errata for L2 for op cache here, and so the errata was like the BIOS should disable that, and so it looks like that, according to this Twitter summary so far, that this bloody chipset driver is like, yeah, turning off op cache because system stability and possibly locking up your system, except like, yeah, benchmarking there, and then it's like, 18 possible games, like YOLO, whatever, what could possibly go wrong, turn this stuff on again, because performance and looking better in benchmarks, really shady stuff. Also, additionally, maybe Ryzen 3000 Zen 2, if you play League of Legends, the same driver seems to enable L2 cache streaming and other L1 cache-related settings. Otherwise, it turns it off. Really shady stuff. Also, yeah, this is only hearsay from this Twitter. I hope this analysis so far is correct. But in any case, even if this is slightly off, and some details might differ, all in all, totally shady business. There shouldn't be benchmark, like risky errata based beta to be disabled for system stability and possible full system lockup of turning this on for some games, because looking better in some benchmark, totally shady stuff. And why in general I don't want to have closed source drivers, not NVIDIA, not AMD, not in closed source operating system, exactly for this kind of stuff. Also NSA keys and stability and so on. So yeah, these processes had known erratas that could sometimes lead to lockups. The recommendation for BIOS manufacturers was to turn off those features. But if you're playing this freaking games and some other hash collisions, because AMD hash, this driver re-enable those features while the game is active. Of course, why would they do this? Of course, performance, turning on features that were supposed to improve performance but are not stable. Also was Cyrix M1, right? In 4586 times, even AMD Phenom TLB bug, but also similar Intel features at times. Erratas, you don't need to shout AMD. Intel also, the list of erratas, long, probably hundreds of erratas, and like BIOS manufacturers of this, disable this feature, YOLO that feature, microcode update that feature for improved stability, and so on. And yeah, x86 and in general modern processors so bloody freaking complex that you need to turn off all sorts of features for the stability. Also, we have some drop frames. Thank you very much. Vodafone failing Doxis couch. Anyway, long story short, proof of concept on some Ryzen systems, you can crash with this line of tweetable PowerShell. Get anti-file device, device control, something. It's like, yeah, AMD, if you're gonna twiddle magic machine-specific register bits to control the instruction cache and stuff, playing certain video games, maybe at least code properly and not like, yeah, recurring theme, previous videos, not only Linux, but also Windows C is hard, and proper access control even harder, especially if you YOLO that of like access control in our bloody benchmark manipulating driver. Even better, security descriptor allowing everyone read-write access, IOCTL interface, absolutely no probes, SCH, dereferencing word pointers, don't even bother checking the input size and output size. Is like, yeah, YOLO, whatever, what could. Basically, worst programming 101, everything you could do wrong, done wrong. And although some people couldn't reproduce that, but your mileage may vary. And yeah, micro-op cache that micro-ops generated by instruction decodes so that those instructions don't need to be re-decoded. Again, of complex previous video, x86 complex instruction set architecture and stuff. So yeah, really shady stuff I wanted to call out here and will continue to call out, because this is exactly how you should not write drivers, of YOLOing access control, of random features. Like, yeah, stuff is slightly buggy, turn it off, except when you benchmark. This is like, yeah, exactly this stuff NVIDIA, AMD and Intel have for decades been called out for. And yeah, not only, also this is, yeah, not sure if this is on each Windows installed system. We usually don't run much Windows here, but if this auto installs on, yes, this is a plug and play like Microsoft. I think it is Microsoft headquarter, what is it, WHQ something, certified, I think I saw there somewhere, PNP of that sort, certified, I think it was at least Microsoft certified. Exactly this stuff that you should never do. And yeah, of course, Microsoft and Apple's review and testing only skin deep of like, yeah, YOLO, whatever, looks good, it's from AMD, nothing much to see. It's like, yeah, probably it's okay. Anyway, that's it for this quick update. Just that you know what shady stuff is still going on Windows. I thought we left the 90s behind, but no, we are still there. Software quality at its finest, and recurring theme by we don't run that. Matthew Smith writes Monero miners write to the same more specific, generates random programs with random jumps so they can't predict it. Think turn off the instruction prefetch or whatever is a bit nice performance boost. Like, yeah, there you have it. You probably want to deinstall the thing, or otherwise wait. I mean, if this driver is not if this driver doesn't do anything like seriously, no serious business at all, it shouldn't, of course, not be there. There shouldn't be in a default install of Windows or even coming through Microsoft's Windows update. Any kind of benchmark twiddling, system instability stuff, because I mean, not only cheating in benchmarks and gaming benchmarks, it's even decreasing system stability and security, right? There's this wide open door of random IOCTL. It's like, yeah, good job AMD, you had one job. Also, I really wonder, one last, of course, the more some random talking, but just some industry good practices. Of course, there shouldn't be any kind of random feature enablement stuff, right? This should simply not be in your system. Especially, a recommendation is to turn it off, and this shady driver turns it on again. And last but not least, this, of course, were not the most engineering resources, but they had to put in there some engineering resources. And imagine each company is doing shady stuff like that, also NVIDIA, previously Core, and so on. And instead of like, well, also maybe this resources, if the programmer is so talented of not even doing proper input-output memory validation and pointers and access control, maybe he should also not do something else. But otherwise, all this benchmark cheating resources, especially all the negative PR in the long term, if this is caught and called out, all resources, of course, better spent actually improving the product and not in this shady benchmark game manipulating ways. Anyway, that's it for this update. Otherwise, of course, usually, wow, with 2000, so much too, how 8.7. Yeah, thank you very much for that. Usually we have, of course, IT and security news on the main channel. I only wanted to have this specific shout out because this is a major thing that I wanted to have archived here separately. Otherwise, of course, we have the more live channel for more IT and security news. But yeah, crazy